played out in the shadow of Diego Maradona. World Cup final defeat in 2014. It was an international career. It seemed destined to end in something of an anticlimax. And now, right at the end, at 35 years of age, Copa America, and now the World Cup. Destiny, whatever way you want to frame it, but probably the greatest footballer most of us have ever seen. Certainly top 1, 2, 3, that's for sure, regardless of your persuasion. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, has won the World Cup, a crowning moment for him. He scored twice in this final as well, we should add. Twice in the final, and put away his penalty first in the penalty shootout. And the scenes are as delirious and tearful and surreal as you might imagine. Keith Treacy, like I said, alongside me in studio. Pat Nevin, I think you're there as well. Good evening to you.
I am here. I hope the sound's okay. Is the sound okay to you?
Sound is just fine. We'll pick our way through the game in just a moment, but the big picture first of all, Argentina, third World Cup. Messi, like I said, after a career which threatened to end in something of an anticlimax, it's now the most crowning moment he could have imagined.
Yeah, and actually, when you watched him afterwards, he looked in disbelief as well. I mean, he couldn't believe what he'd just gone through. And considering all the things that he's gone through in his career and the genius that he's had and the goals that he's scored, to walk out at the end of this, for all the things that happened today, I mean, his penalty in the penalty shootout was absolutely extraordinary. I mean, unbelievable, the calmness at that point in time to do that. Remember, he's missed plenty of penalties in his time. But you could see that it was just beginning to sink in with him that everything that he's wanted, everything that his country wanted for him, everything that so many people in the world wanted for him had just come true. And of course, it was within seconds of not coming true. I mean, those chances at the end of the game, etc. It was extraordinary. Let's try and slightly draw a line under the first 80 minutes of the game, particularly if you're French. They were rank. But the rest of it just exploded into the most brilliant final.
We were watching, Keith, as I'm sure everyone was, when Gonzalo Montiel, never have so many people in the world said Gonzalo Montiel as today, when he kicked the winning penalty, and invariably, usually, everybody would sprint towards the winning penalty kick taker, the majority of the team just collapsed on Messi. It's on paper, you say it's not a healthy thing for everything to be about one player, and yet over the last 18 months it seems to have almost worked for Argentina.
It has. I know we always put Messi and Ronaldo into the same bracket, and when you look at the Portuguese with Ronaldo, it looks like Ronaldo wanted to win it for him. It didn't look like the Portuguese players were as strongly behind him as the Argentinian players are behind Messi. And you see, everybody wanted Messi to win it. You hear the Argentinian manager speaking about it beforehand, saying we want to win it for Messi, we want to prove he's the best of all time. And to be fair, for me, look, I managed to see Messi up close. I managed to play against Ronaldo, and for me, even if Messi had a loss his final, he's still the best of all time. The way he can manipulate the ball and make people look really, really silly. And the goal he scored against Croatia when he turned Guardiola inside out. Guardiola for me is one of the defenders of the tournament, but Messi made him look really, really silly at times. And look, I know he walks around a lot, but he's a luxury player. He really is. And for me, he's been the difference, because Argentina, for me, if you pluck Messi out of that, I think they start to unravel. They're not a one-man team, but he's the talisman, he's the leader, he's the one who gets things done for them. And yeah, look, I think it just had an air of destiny about it, because on paper I think France had a better team. My head was telling me France the whole game, my heart was saying Argentina, and yeah, it just had that air of destiny about it.
Pat, this Argentinian team, we might just chart what they've done at this World Cup a touch, because they arrived on the back of their 36-game unbeaten run. They'd won the Copa America, and they started disastrously with that defeat to Saudi Arabia. And I would say, and this is the question, and you can agree or disagree or give us your version, it seemed initially like things weren't looking good. Then they looked like a very, very average side with Messi in the middle. And then I would have said this afternoon, and to an extent in the semi-final as well, lots of the other players, their midfield three today, and Di Maria and others came to the fore, and I started thinking, well, actually, they're now not just Messi, they're actually a very good team all over. And then they almost threw the thing away, and then they won it back several times over, and I don't quite know what to make of them. Would you regard them as a great team?
I don't know if I do. I agree completely that without Messi, they don't look like a team that could win the World Cup. they absolutely need him. But hey, so have many good teams over the years that have had a great player at the core of it. The last time when I saw them, it was when it was Australia. I think was it, and they didn't look great. They looked okay. Messi was doing extra special things now and again, but they didn't look to me like a team that was going to win the World Cup. Absolutely, so I would agree with that. And even in the stadium with the fans behind them, and it's like a home game for them, I still thought, no, you're not the best team here. But they've kept on, as you say, growing. Do you know one of the things that really jumped out today? Their passion compared to the French lack of passion for large parts of that game. Yes, the French did turn it on in the end. When they got a little bit of a break, they got a bit of a belief. But it was as if they needed that penalty to get them into the game before they decided, all right, we can go and play it now. Now, there might be other things going on, but there may well be that virus going round. And I had the virus, by the way, and it would knock you for six, I'll be honest with you.
What is this, Pat? Is this to do with the air conditioning? Because we're hearing a lot of people not feeling their best.
A lot of people are making excuses. The air conditioning is almost certainly COVID.
Okay, so you think it's COVID, frankly?
I think there's certainly a good number. There's COVID going around in a big way there as well. But there are a number of things. It's not the air conditioning. That's a nonsense.
Okay. And are we plummeting for air conditioning because if COVID was announced, then World Cup games will be stopped all over the shop?
Yes. Yeah. But they wouldn't necessarily be because they've changed all the rules now. But I don't think anyone wanted to own up to it. So I think that may well have been part of the problem that's going on. Now, it may well have been that's the reason why you won't get that passion from the French. But the passion for every single tackle, every single chase down, every single time they went down, they rolled about, all that sort of stuff. Look, the Argentinians had the passion. It grew and grew and grew. And I'd like to take you back to that comment you made before about, the manager and the players saying we're doing it for Messi, which is usually a complete BS line. It usually is. It isn't. It's not this time.
No.
I've talked to the amount of people I've talked to, the Argentinians, every one of the journalists, they all say, no, these players want to win it for themselves, yeah, but it's actually secondary. It means so much to them, for their country, for what he has been for their country, and of course the comparisons with Diego, that they needed it for him. They desperately wanted it for him. So yeah, see when they ran over at him, for once, yeah, I'm like, I'm not big on the superstar stuff, it's a team game. But no, that was the right thing. It was. They'd done it for him, and he drew them through, and he pulled them through when he needed to.
Let's pick our way through this game of touch then. Initially, I suspect people thought, France are nervous here. And then as the trends continued, we started thinking about the virus or some issue with them. And in Zander Fernandez, who is 21 years of age in midfield, with De Paul and McAllister, and then with Di Maria, Alvarez and Messi ahead of them, completely dominated the game. Rabiot injured in the semi-final. Tchouaméni doing his best, but again looked leggy. Griezmann taken off. This was almost potentially player of the tournament or one of the contenders taken off in 70 minutes. The first 75 minutes, completely Argentina. On 62 minutes, they had 14 attempts on goal, on and off target. France didn't have a single effort on or off target. I jotted down, it was the 67th minute before there were some signs of French life. You might remember Griezmann put in one brilliant cross on 67 minutes. That was almost the first moment. And then Griezmann and Theo Hernandez taken off on 71 minutes. Camavinga came on. Kingsley Coman came on. So that was around 70 minutes when Coman and Camavinga came on, and the tide started to turn. But give us your version, Keith, of what was going on in that first 70, because it was like as much of a demolition job as you get in the World Cup final.
Yeah, and look, I was looking at it, and for the first 70 minutes, as you said, the French, they just weren't at the races, and it wasn't a display where you think, they're not trapping the ball properly. It's a footballing issue. For me, it wasn't a footballing issue. It was work rate, it was desire. When you look at McAllister, I'd love to see the running stats of McAllister versus Griezmann, Rabiot, Tchouaméni. Griezmann, for me, I know there's question marks over the viruses. I'm not sure who exactly is struggling. Varane come off towards the very end. Griezmann, Giroud. Griezmann has been really, really influential in the World Cup for the French. He's so important to Deschamps. So to take him off, you would think there's something wrong with him. Maybe he's not feeling the best. Giroud, they just didn't utilise his talents whatsoever. And when Thuram came on in front, they started going a little bit longer. They started winning second balls, and so many of them were not at their. Theo Hernandez at left back for the first 20 minutes, he was absolutely awful.
Can I ask you about the left hand side? So that's always an area of focus with France for obvious reasons. It seemed, to my far less educated eye, Hernandez would get the ball, De Paul sprints out to him, closes him, Molina is tight to Mbappe, and the likes of Tchouaméni or Griezmann are nowhere in the vicinity, and France just looked completely stagnant, rigid on that left-hand side and couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, well, look, I get that. Hernandez didn't have a lot of options on the ball because Mbappe was standing quite still. They were quite static. But if Argentina are going to go and pressure that high, just chip the ball over the top of them
and let
tell
him run
Mbappe to go and run after it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't have to be a completed pass. But eventually the Argentinians will say, "What's the point of me closing him down? He's just going to chip it over my head." And when they do that, that's when you start picking your holes. It's like the French were forcing it. But like I say, look, these are footballing reasons. But for me, the work rate in the first 70 minutes was a million miles off it compared to the Argentinians.
Pat, the two Argentinian goals in that first half, Di Maria dived for the first, I think we can say, and then the second goal, a work of art. You can expand on both.
Well, to be honest, this is going to hurt me to say this. I'm not sure. He dived, but it was a penalty. He actually did. There was a clip on the back of his leg that flicked his leg onto his other leg, and that's why he went down. He made the most of it, absolutely. And I'm not the biggest fan of Di Maria because he does throw himself to the ground at every possible opportunity. But on this occasion, he got in front of the defender. It's up to the defender. He get out of your way.
Fair
and
enough.
He didn't, and it was clipped.
And actually, we should say Dembele's first effort at the challenge on Di Maria was very poor. I mean, he just dived in and let Di Maria ghost by him, Pat.
Forwards tackle, just a forwards tackle. We all know that they're rubbish at it, or a lot of them are rubbish at it. But the second one, I don't know if Keith felt the same way. Do you know when the ball was played up just to before Messi played the ball? It's about three passes back. I'm actually shouting goal. It's that far back because you can see the way it's developing. You think, if you play these three passes, you have now got a massive, gigantic overlap. And you should make this work. And it's just all about, honestly, before I go over the halfway line, I'm thinking, this is a goal. But you got to get every single bit of it spot on. And it did. It was a thing of absolute beauty, and it was almost written in the stars, that goal. And it was lovely to see. And every single pass was perfect. The last one, Messi's was lovely. The movement and the timing of the passes was great. The last one's the tough one. That's the tough one.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, is Lloris going to gamble? Is he going to come out here and see if he can get the interception as it's going to cross the coast? But I've actually, such a bore I am, I've froze it. I went back and froze it to make sure that Lloris couldn't gamble. And actually he can. He can't gamble at that point in time. It
was McAllister, I think, with that brilliant last pass, Pat, was it?
Yeah, it's beautifully done because he was just about to be hit. Defender, I think it might have been, I'm trying to think, it wasn't Varane. So, when defenders come back and he was going to get him, right? And I thought, right, Upamecano, I think it might have been. Anyway, whoever it was just about to get him, so he had to time it perfectly. But also, when I froze it, I realised, no, Lloris, you can't come because you'll leave the near post free. So everything had to be perfect. But I just thought in the build-up to it, I think it will be because you've got the players to do it. Now, it was a beautiful, beautiful goal.
Yeah.
And it's, at that point in time, they were out of sight. I'm sure about both of you and everyone watching, I absolutely couldn't see France getting back. I couldn't see a sniff of it.
No, I think we were all thinking, what a pity that this World Cup final is going to be such a dud of a contest. You, Keith, made the point that, well, we suspect, who knows, but that when Deschamps had put in his team sheet with Jules Koundé at right back, and then he got a look at Di Maria on the Argentinian team sheet, he must have thought, uh-oh.
Yeah, look, as a winger myself, Koundé's a centre-half. He's a very, very good centre-half. He can be exposed with his pace, and when you see that matchup Di Maria against Koundé's only 24, Di Maria's a little bit older in the tooth, and personally myself, I thought Di Maria had lost that yard to get away from people from what I'd seen in this tournament so far. I know he's been plagued with a few injuries, but he was outstanding, and he hugged that touchline all day long for the 70 odd minutes he was on. And when he got Koundé 1v1, he just roasted him to pieces. And when the Dembele one is so poor, because Di Maria, he's shaping to cross the ball into the box. Look, Alvarez and Messi were probably the two in the box, and even if McAllister's making the run into the box, they're not big lads. So the lesser of two evils is to let him put that ball into the box and defend it from there. You can't let him come inside after he lets him come inside, you can't go and touch him in the box. It's a mistake compounded by another mistake.
He's begging you to touch him from behind there.
Exactly. You just put your hands up and you say, I've been beaten. If he goes and sticks her in the top corner, you can't give the penalty away. It's really, really poor wing play. And yeah, look, I just think, again, too many of the French were off colour. You know, Mbappe from open play wasn't great. I know he scored a great goal from open play, but the other two were penalties. Giroud, Rabiot, you know, I know Rabiot's been struggling, but yeah, in the middle is where I thought France would really win the game with Griezmann, Rabiot and Tchouaméni. I thought they'd dominate in there, but Paul, Fernandes and McAllister just absolutely ran all over them.
Pat, Deschamps made changes early, so he took off Dembele and put on Kolo Muani, who had an impact. Marcus Thuram came on for Giroud, and then on 71 minutes, as we said, Griezmann came off, Kingsley Coman came on, he had a big impact, and Camavinga came on for Theo Hernandez. Camavinga seems to play left back for France. So they were the changes Deschamps made. And then 80th minute, out of nowhere, the penalty is given. Muani won that. And 81 minutes, Mbappe with that volley. Messi dispossessed by Kingsley Coman. And then, I mean, you might give us a sense, Pat, of the finish, the volley for Mbappe under those circumstances. Pretty extraordinary, no?
It's amazing how many of the goals the keepers get a hand to. You know, and some of the penalties as well, the keepers get a hand.
Think you're just gone. You might come back to us. We'll get you again. Pat on the way back. You can pick up the point. Keeper did get a hand to Mbappe's volley.
Yeah, he did. But like I said at the time, when the ball is coming out, I think it's Thuram or Muani who plays it over the top, and it's coming out of the sky over his right shoulder, and you're thinking, is he going to take a touch and then hit it? Because
he had time to take a touch.
He did have time, but either he could have manipulated onto his right or his left, but to hit it first time just shows you the confidence that he had. Only just scored a penalty as well, but like I say, for somebody who from open play wasn't really in the game, to hit that coming over his shoulder first time, get the power on it as well, because Martinez got a good strong hand in it, but it was the pace that beat him, and that was the one outstanding moment that Mbappe provided us. I know he scored the 2 penalties, but you didn't see him running past people. He didn't get a chance to ever use his pace. And Argentina I know Kyle Walker in England done a great job on Mbappe, but for me that's probably the best team performance, because I know he scored 3 goals, but largely from open play he wasn't involved.
Pat, you're back with us. We just lost you as you were making the point on the Mbappe second goal, that keepers so often have got a hand to shots.
Yeah, it's amazing how many times it's happened in this final, you know, but just can't keep it out because the power's been there, positioning's been there. I was making a point about Koundé, you know, as a winger, Keith, we feel the same. It was about 5 or 10 minutes gone, and he turned in the box, and honestly there were super tankers in the Gulf that were turning quicker than him, and I just thought to myself, nah, you can't do that. There's certain centre backs you just don't stick out there. So I thought there was always going to be a problem down that side as well, but that moment, and Keith, I'm really happy you mentioned that about Mbappe, honestly, because he scored 3 goals in a World Cup final. And you know you're going to get battered on social media if you say he actually wasn't that great, but he wasn't. And 2 of them are penalties. You know, and they're not necessarily him that's getting the penalties as well. It is one of the strange things that can happen in this game, where you know the goals seem to count more than anything else. I know it's the hardest thing to do, but you know,
Did you feel it was more down to the fact that France as a whole had a complete systems failure, or did you just think Mbappe wasn't on his game, Pat?
That's the tricky thing to know, because before he went central and Giroud went off, he actually looked completely disinterested. He's just walking about. He really was disinterested. He wasn't. I know he doesn't track back much, but there was nothing there. There was a little bit more liveliness, as if to say, I want to be playing up front. And I don't think Olivier Giroud was very happy at that point in time, obviously. Yeah. When he gets substituted and thinking, well, thank you very much. You know, did you want to go up front all along? Now we're at supposition of what he was actually thinking.
Yeah, because Mbappe's on the record as saying he prefers to play off the left, actually. He likes it there, you know. PSG, he doesn't get to do it. So, you know, he's on the record as saying he prefers being in off the left. So, you know, one man's disinterested could be another man's, well, he was marked out of the game brilliantly by Argentina.
Yeah, and if you're stuck out there, and 2 things, if you're a wide player, if you're marked back in front and the ball's not coming, your midfielders are not serving you with the ball, you can be in the best form of your life. It doesn't matter. You ain't going to have a good game because the ball's not there.
Yeah.
Right? So you're stuffed, really. And I think he's clever enough player and intelligent enough player to know he was kind of stuffed, whether he was doing it or not. So I'm sure he wanted at that point to have a little bit more freedom to go centrally. Anyway, either way, he still didn't play brilliantly when he went up front. So, but there was a moment, and going back to that period of the game, I honestly jumped into my mind, I wish Morocco would have got through. Honestly, it was that awful, and I was that concerned about either something wrong in the spirit of the team or the virus or whatever. I'm just thinking, they're not even fighting. At least the Moroccans would have had a dig. At least they'd have had a go. And I was actually really bordering on angry with them. But when you look at the players they brought in, have a look at the age of them. And that kind of makes a difference as well. Camavinga, he's young. Koulibaly, he's not a young player as well. So is Thuram. Youth, energy. And then I thought to myself, actually, was Deschamps sticking with the guys that got them there, even though they maybe didn't have much left in the tank? And that might have been it. You know, he took off a number of players that were a little bit older, who didn't seem to have any energy at the end of an incredibly hard tournament, where some of them had been ill anyway. And it might well have been that was the reason why France got better.
We have Gianni Infantino in his suit and naturally enough bright white runners, because he's just that kind of cool guy, leading the dignitaries out. Macron's there, and I presume the Emir of Qatar there. Gianni trying to applaud the crowd as they cut to the crowd. I'm not sure if they're booing or not, but there aren't many applauding back. But there you go. He's shown himself, he's been on television every game he's attended, but his image hasn't been shown in the stadium because he understands precisely what reaction he'll be on the receiving end of. But anyway, that's already given Gianni too much prominence in this discussion. Extra time was odd. I mean, like, France super open. I mean, to give away that goal for Messi, which looked like the winner before there was yet another penalty on so VAR, it'll be interesting if this had been the moment. It's not the moment because of the way things turned out, but if that had been the moment, Messi scoring that goal, I suspect, Keith, lots of people would be making the point, this is how VAR is destroying football. Not that, you know, but listen. It's you come in a second. I know you look. Pat's sponsored by VAR. Okay, there's something going on there. Yes, it got the right decision, and so ultimately, I'm in favour of VAR. Me and Pat talk most Mondays. I think we're broadly in favour of VAR. But this could have been like one of the most iconic moments in football, and yet the Argentinian team and the entire stadium are half celebrating because they're looking over, waiting for a referee, and It robs something. There is no doubt it robs something.
Yeah, I agree. It's when Messi scored, I said to you straight away it's offside, and I thought the ball through from Messi was offside. Obviously on the replay, looking back at it wasn't. But I think a couple of the Argentinian fans, maybe the supporters, were on the same wavelength as me, because it seemed a little bit subdued, the celebration. They weren't sure themselves, and it is. Look, I know we all want the right decisions, the obvious decisions to go the right way, but VAR for me, it just kills the game. And Messi, you want to see him running off, you want to see him jumping into the crowd and celebrating with everybody, but he has that little shadow of doubt in his head. He's not sure. The players mobbing him were both mobbing him and also looking over at the referee. And like you said, the linesman put his flag up and then put it back down, so he wasn't sure himself. And yeah, it was just, it's not what you want to see. You want to see all that emotion pour out, because like we said, it had this air of destiny for Messi to score the winning goal. It didn't turn out that way in the end, but it just wasn't as emotional as you thought it was going to be. No, it was like we're just waiting for the inevitable. Now, Pat, you're going to make the obvious point. Didn't they get the right decision as opposed to getting the wrong decision? Right.
First of all, the wrong team would have won the World Cup this year then, arguably, because had the French then scored their other goal, they'd have won 3-2, game over. Yeah. And we would now have the wrong winners of the World Cup. Because of VAR, we have the right winners of the World Cup.
That is the inarguable point.
So then it's so annoying because, you know, the linesman did put his flag up, so he's made the decision. That's not VAR. That's the linesman has made the wrong call. Yeah. So if we want to stick by people making the wrong calls, then we stick by people making the wrong calls, and then we would get 4 years worth of everybody working their socks off to get to this moment. And do you know the people? I always say this: the people we decide that can make the decision are the only people that don't have the information to make it. Everyone in that stadium could have made the decision with their phone, everybody on the television screen, everybody watching, and we are going to let the guy or the girl who can't make the decision make a decision that's going to decide the World Cup. And that's why I don't love VAR. You can't love VAR. But in that moment, thank the Lord for VAR. Absolutely.
It's true. I think in a perfect future, we'll have some system whereby we know in real time that it's still onside. Like maybe a red light goes off somewhere that lets us know an offside's happened, so it's instantaneous, as opposed to what we have now, which is the slight delay where everybody's in limbo. It's the limbo that kills it. If it was straight away red light comes up, then we would know. The red light hasn't come up, we're on here, and then Messi and everybody would celebrate.
So I think we're closer to it now.
Probably, yeah.
But that thing that they're showing now, it's the kind of first initial sort of version of it. But that's actually you're going to get artificial intelligence using that now. And also, I think a lot of people certainly missed the comedy of the moment, which, I don't know, did you see the kind of, the show, the freeze they showed of it when they went into the kind of pretend characters and the artificial intelligence? Yes, it was his backside that played him on. It was his huge backside. And it was a moment of, well, I'll try to explain that one away. But yeah, look, they got it right, and I think it will be quickened up if they can. But they can't quicken it up completely, because sometimes you don't know the precise thing you're looking for. There are sometimes 2 or 3 possibilities of things that could go wrong. So I think we've always got a problem of reacting to the celebration. I agree with that, and I hate that as well. I'm with you, but I'd rather have correct than guessing.
And that's why ultimately you have to fall back on pro VAR. That bottom line argument is hard to get away from. Enzo Hernandez has just been given Young Player of the Tournament. We've just seen Martinez given a Golden Glove. He's goalkeeper of the tournament. Watching Mbappe walk onto stage now, and Macron had spent quite a few moments consoling Mbappe before the presentation. So Mbappe is getting the Golden Boot. I mean, Messi has scored his fair share in this tournament, but you forget Mbappe. You're going back to Jeff Hurst, everyone. The last time we had a hat-trick in a World Cup final, and it was Mbappe with 3 goals, as well as he didn't play, and 2 of them are penalties, but still a pretty frightening tournament. Just hasn't, as Argentina have grown into it, Mbappe's influence maybe has waned as it's gone on. Silly to say influence waning about 3 goals in a final, but you take the point.
Yeah, no, I do. I take the point. But look, if I was Mbappe, I'd be saying, look, the last couple of games, I wasn't great against England, but Giroud managed to get us a goal, and he wasn't great again today. But the thing that I liked about the Argentinians was they just shepherded him into areas where he couldn't use his pace. It's like having a Ferrari in the middle of Temple Bar. You're not going to go anywhere. You have all the power in the world, but you're not going anywhere, because Argentina just brought him into great places. Then you're asking Mbappe, can you reinvent yourself? Can you get a goal that's not ultimately down to your pace? And look, he got a great goal from open play, stuck 2 penalties away, 3 overall, which is no easy feat. But for me, if you want the title of, best player or best young player, you look at Messi. Although there's bits and bobs in the game, he won the ball back a couple of times as well. He had a bit of a walk rate about him. And for Mbappe, I think I remember sitting next to Sean Dyche once watching Barcelona play, and he said Messi is the only luxury player on earth. Nobody else gets the leeway he does, and he was bringing Ronaldo and Mbappe and everybody else into this thought. And for me, Mbappe, the World Cup final, I just want to see him run around that little bit more, because he's a young, fit guy, but he seems to keep all his energy for the attacking sense, which I get. Look, but he's not a Messi for me, not yet. So for me, I'd like to see him exert a little bit more energy out of possession. And
when was the last time you took your Ferrari to Temple Bar?
long time ago. Last time I was playing football.
And Messi's up on stage alone now. I mean, it is an extraordinary moment. He's just been given the Golden Ball. He is the player of the tournament. Unlike in 2014 when he won the Golden Ball, he's very deserving of the award, and he's joyous. And he has kissed the World Cup trophy en route to walking onto the centre stage to hold his Golden Ball award in the air. So Golden Ball winner Messi, 2 hands in the air, taking the acclaim of the stadium. I suppose, Pat, we have our misgivings with this tournament for obvious reasons, and it's worth mentioning them again in this conversation as it draws to a close. But because of Messi and because of these images, Qatar 2022 takes on an iconic status as well, in the same way that 86 does.
When you're going through tournaments, and this is my 6th one that I've been at, and you try and remember all these great moments going through it, and I sort of remember all the things that were really, really special. But in reality, it does come down to moments. It comes down to iconic moments. It comes down to not just a 10-second video or a goal. It's some certain photographs. And the moments will be Messi. It won't be everything else that was surrounded in time. That's exactly what it will be. So in that way, you could argue that, you know, it has actually worked for Qatar. You don't know if it's going to work for Qatar long term, because it's all dependent if people go and visit the place. And I still think I've got a lot to do there, because it's a bit boring. Apart from without a World Cup there, I'm not going there, trust me. But, you know, it's going to get a lot of positivity, because it will be reminded as a great World Cup.
Yeah.
When time goes by, I'll be honest with you, I sometimes forget where some of them were. It's actually the games. It's actually that piece of grass. That's the thing that's the deal. And that is the moment that is the deal. You do when you think about it, you know, your mind really goes back and says, right, oh yeah, that one was Brazil. Yeah, I get that now. But in actual fact, so what if it's Brazil, Qatar, America? It's about what happens in that piece of turf there. And that piece of turf in this World Cup will be remembered for Messi.
Funny enough, I think it's harder and harder to remember them, because FIFA, akin to the Champions League and football generally, are ensuring it's a more homogenous looking football pitch and stadium, and all the measurements are the same and the grass the same colour, and so Russia looks exactly the same as Qatar, and so on and so forth. Like, I don't know, USA 94 look different, and it's become increasingly homogenous. So I think that's almost an aspect of the thing as well. The French team are going up accepting their, I was about to say losers medals, which is a dreadful way to put it. Their second place medals. I suspect it feels like a loser medal for Lloris and his team. Final thoughts. Best team have won this World Cup, Keith, is that what we're saying? And or they've grown into it, I think, is the way to put it.
Yeah, they've definitely grown into it. On paper, Joe, I don't think they're the best team. I think even on paper, France, Brazil, maybe even the English are probably better man for man, but the way they all just seem to know their jobs, and they're prepared to suffer out possession, because they know that man Messi will come up with the moments. And when you've got so many egos in the team, like Di Maria is an outstanding footballer, he's a superstar in his own right. Alvarez is well on his way to becoming a superstar. McAllister's a big fish at Brighton, so he would have a bit of an ego himself, but they all just parked it and seem to get behind Messi. And when Messi's with them, he doesn't seem to, he doesn't look like he's the big I am, you know. He's very approachable and that, and you see like the tears that are there from the Argentinian players are all because they wanted Messi to do it. And look, I think everybody was really behind Messi, and again it just seemed to have that air of destiny about it. But when people were saying, could Argentina win it, I wasn't sure. Romero, not the Mendy for me, the centre-half pair, and aren't good enough. But look, the different players in an Argentinian shirt, and then they were saying that the support act to Messi, I didn't see McAllister, Alvarez, I didn't believe he was this good from what I'd seen at Man City, which is obviously only bits and bobs. Di Maria, as I said, I thought he was coming over the hill, but like I said, they just all got behind Messi, and they've managed to eke out results. It's been workmanlike rather than class after class after class, and Messi's dug them out of a couple of holes, as we knew he would, but like I said, it was the centre-half pairing of Romero, not the Mendy, that probably won them in the end.
Just seen shots of Deschamps supposedly had an agreement with the French Football Federation that if France were to reach the last four, he would be staying on for the Euros. Maybe you wonder if the disappointment of this evening might change things with Zidane waiting in the wings. We'll see. Mbappe getting his runners-up medal now from Emmanuel Macron as we speak. Doesn't especially want to put it on, but he's doing it nonetheless. Pat, as a final thought, give us your thoughts on Argentina akin to Keith, and also, because this will be a discussion now over the week, to what extent does this have an impact on Messi's standing in the all-time greats discussion?
Oh, it helps his discussion without a shadow of a doubt, because it was always there, you know. Pelé had won it, Maradona had won it, but Messi hadn't won it. And now, look at it now. Messi's won it when? At this age, at 35? He's not done it all on his own, but it was a massive, in fact, the biggest part of it. So, yeah, it brings him further up in the argument, and there is no answer to that argument. Who is the greatest? Who is the greatest? There is no answer to it. It's just preference.
Could I ask you, as someone who you can answer this perfectly, given your experience, were Argentina in 1986 more dependent on Maradona than Argentina in 2022 were on Messi?
I think Maradona won it on his own.
Right, he really did. Oh my God, okay, even more so than Messi this time around.
Yeah, wow. I think he did. I mean, not a hope in the world without Maradona. Not a hope. I mean, was it Caniggia or whatever beside him, but they've had players around him who are not bad players. We're not saying they're rubbish, but they were miles away.
Okay.
Miles and miles and miles away. Maradona, so... But that's not to say he's better or worse. Just have your own...
No. I was just curious on the dynamic of 86 versus now, because I can see in another 30 years people will be saying, oh, Messi won that World Cup on his own, and instead of Maradona, I don't remember 86 the way you would.
Yeah. No, but it's one of those ones, you've got a good team there, but it's him. It's absolutely him, and what he did to other players around him, which is to some degree what Messi did now. And I'm so delighted you can now actually have the same discussion about the two of them now. The worry if you're Argentinian is, can't see Argentina winning the next World Cup because he won't be there, and that's a big call. But I can see France winning it. If you look at the youth they've got coming through just now, I think there's nothing wrong there. There's nothing particularly wrong there. They'll be fine.
Do you tend to slightly agree with Keith, and I'll put words in his mouth, that there's almost been a lightning in the bottle aspect to Argentina, this sense of destiny, the packed out stadiums full of their home fans, things have just fallen their way. But if we were to play this World Cup 3 more times across the next 12 months, France would likely win 2 of them. Is that almost where your head's at?
I would disagree. I would say the next 12 days that would be the case. Yes, we're in complete agreement with it. This World Cup has been so tight and so close that were England holding that, were Brazil holding that, were Argentina, were France holding that, you wouldn't even be mildly surprised. There just wasn't a team that were that far ahead. It was all in the moments, and it always is, but there was no brilliant team that was miles ahead of anyone else. I thought for a wee moment it was Brazil, but it wasn't, because they were for a while and then they just fell apart. I think in this campaign you have to take into account that when it's happened in the winter. A lot of players are A, injured, B, wrecked, and just not at their best. And you're having to do certain things that are not suited to you. So sometimes it's just, getting people organised behind the ball, that sort of thing, working yourself until you drop and being willing to do that. Those sorts of things, as opposed to brilliant technique. A lot of players been playing not fully fit. Neymar wasn't fully fit. I'm not sure Richarlison was, and there was quite a few others. So it was an unusual World Cup for that. But all put together, you just keep on coming back to the same thing. Messi knew when to do it, and he did it.
Fellas, thank you so much. I'll let you go and enjoy the trophy being lifted. So, Pat, pleasure. We'll talk to you when we talk to you. I can't believe Premier League's back very soon. So, I'll talk to you pretty soon. Thanks, Emil.
See you then. Bye-bye.
And Keith Treacy, thank you so much for being in here for the afternoon. It was great.
Joe, enjoyed it.
Football coverage with thanks to Sky. All the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports. Argentina, 3rd World Cup.
Off the ball on News Talk.
She's so tiny. All I want to do is take her home.
There are now over 3,000 children homeless in Ireland. Many of them have been born into homelessness. How many more children have to suffer? Right now, Focus Ireland teams are on the ground providing vulnerable children and their families with the critical support they need. But we urgently need your help. Please go to focusireland.ie and give as much as you possibly can.
Our wide range of 2023 Skodas are going fast. This is the sound of Anto driving home in his sporty Octavia RS. And this is fully charged Fiona driving away in her electric Skoda Enyaq. And this is the sound of someone who didn't place their order in time. Order your 2023 Skoda today, before it's too late. Skoda, made for Ireland.
This Christmas, why not gift a memory with a gift voucher for Lyrath Estate, Kilkenny? Make dreams come true by choosing an overnight stay, a spa experience, delightful afternoon tea, dining, or let them choose for themselves with the Lyrath Estate Monetary Voucher. There's something special for everyone. To gift a memory this Christmas, visit lyrath.com.
If something's free, why would you turn it down? I mean, a free haircut from a 5-year-old. Oh, no. Or a free sample of onion paste. Oh. Well then, how about a free tour of your neighbour's new shed? Oh, sounds, well... OK, look, they were bad examples. But how about a free eye test and free glasses from the €69 range of Specsavers with your PRSI? Well, that sounds like something to smile about.
Book an appointment or find out more at specsavers.ie.
The O'Brien's Christmas wine sale is now on. Save up to 44% on over 180 wines from small, quality-focused family wineries and well-known brands. Enjoy half-price Monte Real Rioja Gran Reserva, now $16.95, or Champagne Tassinger, now €45. Save €13. Shop in store or at o'brienswine.ie. Available while stocks last. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Nish, tan Turkey Ray, tan súlach sile ashte glán, gan bheith bon dearag, agus tá sé te brite.
Bap. Tá mé fannacht fear an thermométer cheacht agus muid a chuirsa gurh.
Cé?
Seachtó dó.
Céird?
Seachtó ceir.
Fan leis.
Seachtó cuig! Cuir muoín sa thermométer fiola an nullig seo. Déan cinse go bhfuil an turkey furfa len ar dró leir. Cordig Seafood Christmas. Teachtarachta Seafood.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
You're welcome, Max. So we're going to have a cracking hurling final. Ballygunner beaten by Ballyhale 116 to 16 points to take Croke Park. Ballyhale are going to take on Dunloy of Antrim. Sarah O'Donovan spoke to Aisling O'Reilly afterwards.
Sarah, a double header here at Croke Park today. The first of the semi-finals was St Thomas versus Dunloy. It was 114 to 13 points in the end. It was Dunloy of Antrim who came out on top and go on to the All-Ireland final. A bit of a shock in that.
Absolutely. During the week they were being written off. Thomas has obviously had a big game against Ballyhale Shamrocks last year in the semi-final, but lost, with a last-minute goal. And for them to come out today, I suppose they probably thought it was a game that they would look to get over and then look at the final, but Dunloy had other ideas.
Yeah, they were very deserving of their win. A lot of pace. They came out with a lot of belief here today, and some of those pinpoint passes were so impressive.
Really, really liked their distribution today. Keelan Molloy, the goal, which was an exceptional goal in the second half, was just one of, I suppose, the brilliant things that he did all day. His distribution, finding Conal Cunning inside full forward, caused lots of problems for St Thomas's. I don't think they were ready for the pace of that Dunloy attack.
You mentioned Keelan Molloy. What a goal. I think it's probably going to be one of the goals of the championship. If not, it has to be up there for the goal of the championship. He left two defenders chasing. He'd no one either side of him from Deloitte to lay it off. He knew he had to go himself. He'd no catches left, so he just had to do something with it, and wow, he just hammered it home.
Super finish. I think the lads in the press box here were suggesting that a more cynical team wouldn't have allowed him to get towards goal, and maybe Thomas will look back on this afterwards and say he shouldn't have been allowed to go so far with the ball because he travelled for a while, and I know I was looking up going, where's the support, and he didn't need it in the end. And a super finish. He didn't allow himself to be hooked. Outside of that, as I said, his distribution today, the way he was able to pick out his inside line, it was a standout point for me for Dunloy.
And all those scores came from the defence. They were very defensively solid today. I thought tactically they got it right, Dunloy.
Very, very much so, but I also felt that Thomas's were a bit thrown by the late withdrawal of Dara Burke. They also had Shane Cooney, wasn't able to start. James Regan wasn't able to start. Conor Cooney started in midfield. He hurled every blade of grass. He was trying to do 15 jobs for St Thomas's today. David Burke was sitting back in that sweeper role today.